what's the longest you've seen that's like, holy crap, that you would say was the longest process?
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So Clint and I average 30 days, right?
Okay, so on average 30 days, you would say?
Can we do them in less if we need to? Yes. But there's some banks and lenders with really good commercials, and a lot of listing agents won't take their offers because they don't close loans, like 60 days, 75 days. Mm-hmm. So some of those, if you have a pre-approval letter from them, it doesn't help you because you're not a local lender. Mm-hmm. And you have a history of not closing on time. That happens frequently. We call them rescue loans. Yeah, so...
I'll tell you what Clint's doing. Clint's rescuing those guns with more lighting. He got reinforcements in the back. You got the
My wife just went out and bought me a ring, so we could
look. We have to take a second and give her props and shout out. One, what is going on? Another beast. She's amazing. The brains of the operation for sure. Did you literally go out and get a light right now?
I did.
Do you know what that has caused for me and Alan? Now we have to look at the biceps even worse. This is the worst.
At least Alan can come to the gym and work on me.
Yeah, Clint's arms are bigger than my thighs.
Don't run too much, my friend. Quit running. DP, I'll tell you far fast as far as timelines go. Tara, she's in the house now. Literally, she was referred by one of our military people. I reached out. She was in Korea. And in this market, this was a month ago. So when people are showing 42 houses, and like Al said, we closed 20-something deals in time frame that people are still showing single people 42 houses later. We went and saw a couple houses. I virtually showed them to her. We set up 3 showings on one day. She flew in Tuesday from Korea, slept Wednesday, showed her house on Thursday, wrote the offer on Thursday, went under contract Friday. Within 12 hours of her waking up from hitting the ground, we were under contract on a house that she'd been gone to Korea for a year. Like literally, that was the fastest I've ever. We turned one house we looked at, wrote one offer on it, and she flew out the next day. She went home on on Friday to Texas. So Tuesday she landed, Wednesday she slept, Thursday we showed, under contract Thursday night. She hit the road Friday to go to Texas for a month. She came back, her house was clean and done, and she moved right in.
Wow.
The most amazing feeling, the greatest ever.
That's amazing.
That was a fun one. We actually, Clint writes the offers, DP, and then I call the listing agent immediately after. And the way he writes offers is amazing. And then, I have it, so then I can kind of recap it. Mm-hmm. And, we sell on the veteran, you can take that big cash offer, but this girl's been in Korea for a year busting her ass, so that you can make all your money in the stock market with your Mai Tai.
Right.
That resonates with our other soldiers, right, in the military. So we got a lot in this town. So I can't speak to how they make decisions on what offers they buy, but if I'm that military person at home and they have 10 other offers, and like I said, me and Al combo really, really quick, and some of those other lending companies that you hear on TV, they never make a phone call to anybody, right?
Yeah.
They're not anything for you.
You're a number. It's a process.
I literally submit that offer, call the agent. Within 32 seconds, Al's on the phone with them, just backing up everything, saying, hey, here's our veteran. They were in Korea for a year. So if that's my house, and I got 10 other offers, well, guess who Clint's probably giving that to? That Korea person, right?
Yeah.
It's still a real good offer. They're not too far off dollars and cents. So, pretty cool. And again, I would suggest that you, if wherever you're at, if you're using a different lender, a realtor, or whatever, make sure that those two people are very value oriented, along the same lines as each other. Because if not, things can just go wrong. Somebody may save you a 0.01%, but like Al said, that doesn't equate to much. If I need to call Al at 10 o'clock on Friday and say, hey man, DP needs this shit tomorrow,
right,
guess what Al's gonna do?
And that goes to the military side of things, where sometimes you need that QRF, you need that quick response team. And again, we're being realistic that obviously people have lives and things like that, but that goes to the service of what y'all are doing, to be able to find right people, even if it's not Clint you're working with, which we have here again, 719veteranshometeam.com. I love the fact that you're in great company, and you see here Clint and the 2 gun shows right next to him as well. So that's not missed on me, that placement there. But talk to me a little bit, Clint, about what people can find here on your website. Again, www.719veteranshometeam.com. That'll be part of the description also when this, where you're viewing this, wherever you may be. But talk to me a little bit about what folks should be able to find here on your website.
Yeah, so we're trying to work now, Al and I, to get that. The one thing that is missing is like a link to the Veterans Lending Group. So we're working on that. But if you go to the site, man, especially if you're in here in the Springs, you can do anything on it. You can find a home. You could ask me, what my home is worth. You type in that. It's a landing page. So as soon as you put all your info in, it's going to send me something saying, hey, DP just reached out, wanted to know, what his home's worth.
Yes.
So I get all that. Sit right back. You get a call pretty quick from me saying, hey, man, saw you checking out the site. There's local communities in there. We're starting to update the blog a bunch on there too, so I can start putting my real estate blog stuff on. So basically anything you need to find is on there. I think you're on the you're searching. Yeah.
So I'm just clicking stuff here so folks can see, what's available, the information, featured things. Again, and this is even an example of what to look for specific, right? There's your information, there's things there. Even if you go to someone else's, I think it's just huge to be able to understand what's here and what's available, how to contact, obviously, and reach out to your social media platforms and the different things that you have. So I think it's just, again, great resource to be able to have, specifically for those in, the Colorado area and the Springs and so forth, to be able to actually look into this and get a little more information, regarding this space.
For sure. And then I got a couple of one for now. I'm picking up another. I
think you're muted if you're talking. Oh, there you go. Now you're good.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying, we're not just here in the Springs. I got Sherry, who just joined my team up in Denver, so up at Buckley. So we have from the Springs, it's the Front Range, they call it, Pueblo, all the way up. So the majority of Denver, we're going to have a rep in for the Veterans Home Team. So
nice.
FYI.
Okay, yeah. So, and again, just a great site for folks to visit and check out what a site should look like. Alan, on your side of the house, looking at, veteranslendinggroup.com, 2 G's. Again, we'll have it here for those linked as well. Talk to us a little bit about what's on this site, what folks can kind of look into, and some of the resources available.
So I think the best resources on here, brother, are find a loan officer up top. So if you have questions, click that, and we have hard branches in those states. So that's probably really important. And then we all have bios on there, so you can click on them and read about the person that you want to talk to, because if you're Semper Fi, maybe you want to deal with a Marine, so you would call our guy Tony. If you're Air Force, then maybe you want to deal with me. That's our branch leadership there. And then that's our team. Our team's all local, right here in town. But that's one of the tools. But I'd say the most important tool on there is right up top. It says free classes.
Yes.
That's a calendar, man. We got so many free things that people can do. We have boot camps. Those are for the veterans. There's a schedule in there. We have realtor classes. We have 2.0 boot camp, teaches veterans. You can buy investment properties on a VA loan if you know what you're doing. We have credit repair. So, and there, all those classes are on demand. It says on demand library up there. There are live. I'm one of the instructors, and that's one thing that we do a lot, and that Clint and I do a lot, is we go out and we teach. We have non-branded materials. So I'm not teaching as Veterans Lending Group. I'm not trying to bring your business. I'm trying to educate you so we can get that 10% to, it really should be around 35 or 40%. I mean, it's just wild. So I think those are probably some of the best tools on there, DP. And then there's a pull your COE thing on there too, right on the homepage, and people can, actually view their certificate of eligibility.
Okay.
So yeah, right there it says, "Are you eligible?" Check now. They hit the button, and then they can put in there and pull their COE.
Gotcha. Okay. And for those that don't know, specifically looking at, your certificate of eligibility, your COE, that's what basically says, hey, I'm a veteran. I have access to this. I can go ahead and begin this journey and reach out. But again, you guys make it very simple here to be able not only to give the resources, but I think even down to the classes. Again, this is really an introductory conversation, but there's so many different things that I just wanted to really highlight for folks that this can go in so many ways. And again, that's a whole different conversation if we were to go down the rabbit rabbit hole of investment properties and business side of things, because again, there are strategies and there are ways to do those things beyond just living in a conventional home by yourself, which is fine if that's what you're doing. But to your point, there are different things you can do if you choose to make, real estate something you want to go into, investment or whatever the case may be, or maybe a VA home loan puts you in a position that now fast forward, you have the ability to consider other things once you start to get your things in order. But it all starts with education and just knowing or learning what you don't know.
Yeah, no, there's really cool tools, and Ranger Ron, he's the main facilitator, that guy there in the sport coat, and he's freaking hilarious. And yeah, he was an Army Ranger. He's a great guy, man.
Ranger Ron.
Ranger Ron.
Yeah, Ranger Ron. Yeah. Well, and then all the Army guys out there, John Troxel, former SEAC John Troxel, he teaches a lot for us too, and everybody, most military folks know John, so.
And again, for those watching this, VA Home Loan Bootcamp.com is where it'll take you to after you go to the main page. But again, it's just a series of great information here available. So once you go to veteranslendinggroup.com, you'll see all the resources that are here, classes, resources, getting started, finding a loan officer, the toolkits that are available, free resources, and being able to see some of the stats and things you all have done to include your social media presences. As well, coming back even on this side to Clint's side of the house, again, 719vetanshometeam.com. And again, I love the fact that you both are looking to get together to work and begin, creating opportunities for that, because again, that's not what you see a lot. You see a lot of just handoff. I talked to a real estate guy, he put me in contact with a finance person, I did a thing, and it felt very transactional, right? It was just a done deal type of situation. But what you guys are doing, I think it's amazing, because you work together great. Obviously, we see the synergy and the benefit of all that, really, because you all actually have a relationship, is the veteran. Because now I feel like, hey, I got two battle buddies in a situation, right? I'm not going at it alone. And then when it comes to a major life decision like buying a house, for many people, that's the first time they've ever done it. And you may be scared, you may think you don't want to go at it alone. And everything we've shown you here is, one, you have company. You don't have to go at it alone. You can have resources. You can reach out to veterans. Again, even if Clint's not the person you're working with because of geography or whatever, he can at least help give you information to put you in contact with someone, because you know how it is. We all have a community. Everybody knows somebody in the real estate game. That's the person you want to talk to at least vet it and be able to say, hey, if I vouch for this person, we're good to go, versus just what you can Google or find online. Same thing for Alan, being able to understand that, hey, the biggest thing out of everything that I've heard here is you've turned people away. You've told people no. And I think that's huge, because some folks, they'll never say no. If there's a way to get that money out of you, we're going to get it out of you. And sadly, sometimes it's just not the solution or the best way for the veteran.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, I would kind of leave everyone with, like, if you feel pressured in any way by your realtor, like I hear a lot, like, oh, wow, they just told me there's no houses on the market. If your realtor or your lender is pressuring you in any way, like, they are not the right people for you. If you have questions, you're about to drop $500,000, and that's going to be $1 million if you pay interest on it for 30 years. Ask every fucking question that you have. And if your lender won't answer it, hang up on their ass and call somebody else. It ain't got to be me, but
know the red flags. Know the red flags for sure.
Your question, like Al said, if you're sitting back questioning shit and they haven't given you a warm fuzzy about like any of it, and we signed like a buyer's agency thing, so DP, if we talk and you're like, yeah, man, realtors are real fast to send it out. It's a requirement for compliance at the end of the file that we have it. But we signed a little contract thing with me and you saying, hey, I'm your realtor, right? That's a protection thing, so somebody else doesn't try to jump in on all the work that I've done. And then there's people that like legally try to hold you to the contract. Like if you're like, Clint, you're a jerk, man. I don't want to work with you, bro. I'm like, well, I got you a contract, DP. Do a little bit of research and due diligence on that. What do they say? Contracts made to be broken or something.
Yep.
Do some research. You literally are not held at gunpoint. This lender or realtor.
You can fire your realtor if you're not jiving with them, because again, to Alan's point, you're spending a lot of hard-earned shekels, and to just think that you just can go through it, like, no.
Yeah, there's ways around it. Call the manager. Like literally, I never, because if you don't want to work with me, man, then I failed you. and cool. I don't want you to feel like that. So
right.
I literally cut up that contract in a heartbeat. But we hear war stories about people that are like, man, I got 6 more months on my contract. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah, under contract with this realtor. I'm like, I'm not got a Major League Baseball team. You're not under contract.
Right. I can't go. I can't talk to anybody else. Don't look at any other realtors.
Right. Sorry, bro. Until September.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm not, literally, and we have ethical, right? If you're under contract, then with that is like, if I walk up to you and you're like, man, I'm looking for a house. I'm like, sweet, you got a realtor? You're like, yep. I'm like, awesome.
Right.
That's where right? Ethically and legal, all that shit. I can't. That's why we sign them, because I put some work into you, and you can't cross those. But on that same note, if those people ain't doing you right, like, and they tell you you're under contract with me,
yeah,
I can tell you what I would do. Like if I wasn't a realtor, and I had a realtor, and that realtor
right.
isn't doing, and he's like, you're under contract. I can tell you the next words out of my mouth to that guy.
Right.
It ain't gonna be okay.
Like, hey, let's have a conversation real quick and tell you how this is ending right now.
I tell people every day, DP, and Clinton knows this, you owe it to yourself and your family.
Yes.
To work with people who you respect and who respect you. And in these industries, there's a lot of people who it's all about the Benjamins, baby. And I've been broke my whole damn life. I still drive a 20-year-old truck, and that's cool, man. That's why I tell people no, because I drive my old ass truck.
Tell them our joke, man. I just bought that 87 S10, and Al's like, be real weird when we pull up in our bike.
But I show up and people are like, oh, hell no. And then we show up at other people, and they're both driving like fancy Lexuses and shit, and Clint and I got a big old diesel. We just smoke them out. Like, yeah, get out of here.
Be like, yeah, I know who I want to be in a smoke pit with, not these cats over here.
But that's why Clint and I are creating that program. You know, we're helping people pay their closing costs, and other people are using those closing costs to get the newest. What the hell are them things called? Teslas. Get a new Tesla.
Got to roll up in style and show success and all that stuff, right?
Oh, hell no. I roll up in Henry, man. My old Ford.
Hey, look, old reliable. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I think that this is really, it's really valuable information. Again, as we wrap up here, this is the first conversation, but not the last one, because there's so many things to look at, right? We literally have a conversation just about, Clint, let's talk about just finding a place. What are the things to look for? What are some pitfalls? What are some red flags? There's a lot of things that go into this, but I think the very first conversation for many out there, right, what you need to know are the various nuggets that we've put out here, right? It's not a clickbaity, like, hey, here's 3 secrets and here's a book sell or an under thing. Like, no, do due diligence, know the myths, know what you qualify for. Don't believe in the hearsay because someone's trying to push a number on you. For many out there, again, understanding what a VA home loan is, understanding there's no down payment that you can have there. The funding fee can be waived if you have a rating, understanding that you have the ability to have a less than credit score than some may tell you because that's their risk aversion in that lending group or organization. And then finding a group that makes you feel comfortable to talk to them. Like, to a degree, if you don't feel comfortable, to Alan's point, with the person you're literally going to invest all his money into, you got a situation. Like, you have got to understand what this is. So it doesn't have to be just transactional. It can be better than that, which I think is amazing. So there's a lot of things that folks need to know. And this is the building blocks. And, we'll have some follow-on conversations, for those that go beyond. So if you're someone who doesn't know anything, you have at least some working knowledge to be able to at least start asking the right questions and begin the process. And then, we'll have a follow-on conversation later on, of what are some red flags or what to look for in a property or what are some things to avoid, or like, things that people don't know, because like, hey, everything you guys said is great, I did it, and then I bought a lemon, or I found this thing and now I have all these repairs to do because you didn't understand or look or have a realtor who understood to say, hey, we got to make sure these things are good to go. Yes, the VA will make sure that they inspect and do things, but you have to also know and do your due diligence and own the process and learn. And that's why I love, Alan and Clint, your websites, the resources, the information, the education aspects, because for many folks, I'm sure you guys know, when you guys did your own stuff before you guys came into your space, it was literally, you call this guy, he does the thing, there's some paperwork, you sign it, off you go, and you literally buy a house knowing less about the process than when you started it, because it was, I know the secrets, you don't need to know it, you need me, and in education and empowerment went out the window.
Here was one of the most intriguing things I did when I got knowledgeable with this space is I pulled all the closing disclosures on all the houses I ever bought, holy shit, man. I got screwed hard, man. It's like 7 times. I'm like, ugh. So yeah, man, if you got a question on a fee, you better be asking it.
Right.
It probably shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could have bought a new truck, DP. Shit.
And that's why you can't get a Tesla.
I know. Give him a Tesla.
In closing, Clint, on your side, what is something you would, kind of wrapping it up? We talked about the home loans, the mortgage side of the house, what folks should know and keep in mind. But what would be some of your closing thoughts to share with folks out there, or your call to action for our veteran community as it relates specifically, to moving into their own place, having their own, owning something? What were your closing thoughts?
So, mine, I don't know if it's the same or not, but I know Al mentioned being house broke early, and that's a real thing, right? But so is being rent broke. If you're renting and your rent payment at an apartment is $2,000 a month, that's not being rich, right? You're literally you're just rent broke now, and you're giving somebody else an opportunity to do something with that money, live their dreams, build their empire. But they're going to buy another house with it and rent it again to some other veteran that thinks, hell, man, I can't afford that. Uncle Sam is giving you BAH, right? Use it. Don't be rent broke. Let's get smart about the process. Make sure that you can afford it. But if I'm paying $2,000 a month and I can get into a house for $15,000, if I take that other $500, maybe put it in the bank in case my water heater goes out, well, then in 2 months, I got enough money to buy a new water heater.
Right.
Right? Don't have that if I'm giving $2,000. I'll show you a calculator that we got on my app thing that literally breaks it down. What is your cost to rent? Over a 5-year span, if you're renting for a $350,000 home at $1,800 a month, you're literally $89,000 handing it to somebody else for those 5 years. When with your tax breaks, all the other nonsense, it's costing you $32,000 to own that house with equity and all the other breaks that you get. So mine is, I love the education aspect, man, and that's what me and I'll try to do the most. But then I also like making money. I like people making money. I like people being able to live their dreams and their future. And renting and leasing isn't a way to do that normally, right? Yeah. Is there a security behind it? Sure, maybe. But I don't know how many times my clients now are calling hey, man, landlord's selling. Market's hot. I don't got nowhere to go. Do you got anybody that's got an Airbnb or you somebody else to rent? Let's try not to find somebody else to rent. What if I can get you in the for $500 cheaper a month with a VA loan, no money down? Let's educate on that aspect. So that would be mine, man. I love to just talk people out of renting and invest if it's the right thing to do. Yes. Right? If you don't have that huge debt to income, if you're in a decent spot, and then we don't understand what that spot even looks like. I think a lot of times we just think it's easier to rent, man. It's better. I don't have to worry about the roof. That's a $500 deductible if your roof goes bad, man. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Talk no shit numbers, and let me show you, or let somebody else that's educated show you that it's not being house broke. Paying $25 a month. When Al looks at your numbers and says, hey, man, that's a lot for you guys based on what you make. But that would be my one takeaway, DPs. And I
think, and this is, again, if you're a veteran, if you're active duty, there are so many options. You're not limited to that point. Again, for those that may have not caught it, and we talked about it, if you're a veteran, we talked about the benefits. If you're active duty, to Alan's point, you got that BH coming in. You know what I mean? You can literally sit there renting a spot for the next 3 years, or you can actually start building some equity and actually use that as a way to not just blow it, because you know how it is. Someone got off-post housing, so all of a sudden now they get, BH, and there goes the story of, hey, it's great that you're in a high, area that pay some decent BAH, but you could have actually done something, owned some property, built some equity into it, and then, 3 years or 4 you PCS, whatever the case may. There's so many options available, but if you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah, what makes me my heart smile is when one of our veterans PCS, and in 2 years maybe they get short orders, and they were worried about buying a home, and I'm like, look, you're going to be here longer than a year. You're going to be all right. And then in 2 years, they're PCS and they're calling saying, hey, Clint, am I going to lose? We go to close $25,000. I love that. We got veterans making $90,000.
Let's just stay with $25,000. To Alan's point earlier, you paid all this rent for all these years. $80,000 is gone, and when you leave, all they give you is another security deposit, paying the ass because your dog broke something. If that, exactly. You just walk away and you're done. Versus in a year or two, someone literally walks away with 25, 89, literally because of the fact that the house, the asset appreciated, and you actually made some money on it while you were owning something.
We were paying you. There's nothing great. Tara, for example, that one we used earlier that closed in like 2 days or whatever. That's my greatest happiness, man. She's chilling in her home right now. We had a slight conversation. She wasn't sure if she wanted to rent or buy.
Yes.
An easy conversation. Al looked at her finances and said, hey, you're good to go, man.
Yes.
So that's my, like, I love hearing somebody come in and be like, hey, I'm looking for a home. And I'm like, is that your first time? They're like, nope. Own one in Alabama. Own one. I'm like, amazing.
Yes.
And you're 24 years old and you're a veteran. And when you retire, you're going to have 10 homes.
Solid.
And then you don't have to worry about all this other bullshit that gets thrown our way. You're good.
And I think that's powerful, Clint, because when we talked about this, this is all about, and this is what we're having this conversation, it's about resetting the image of a veteran. You don't have to just be a disabled, broke person. You have 3 veterans who have disabilities, but yet are doing different things. The old moniker of what we think a veteran is doesn't have to be that way. We can be business owners. We can be savvy. We can educate those in service to come out of service, own property, have the ability to be financially successful, because with all the resources you have, we broke it down by numbers. We talked about down payments. We talk about insurance. We talk about funding. We talk about all these strategic strategies that can save you money and give you the ability, to Clint's point, in 2 years, 3 years, your PCS, you made 20, 50 grand, and then you go to the next place and do this. And if you're smart, you can get out of service after 4 or 20 years and be financially set. Like, you can actually do that. It's not just, I did my time and now I'm just a broke down veteran waiting for service at the VA and woe is me, I have nothing. That's not the narrative that it has to be. But if we don't know, back to the very first thing Alan said was, if only 10% of veterans are using this benefit, we literally have just talked about at least $70,000 that a veteran, quite frankly, is going to spend one way or the other, needlessly. They could have been used for so many other things if they just knew these things. And you kind of answered it already, Clint, but I'll ask you, Alan, as well, in your closing thought, if you can also add what for you, I guess, is a personal satisfaction. Clint kind of shared it, so I didn't have to ask him, but what does this mean to you? But that fulfillment of what he does, to hear that story, to see those wins, I think it's amazing, because it helps me also understand what motivates him. But on your side, what would be your closing thought, and I guess your biggest fulfillment for what you do on your side, brother?
Yeah, man. So, I get to work with the veteran community because, I was out of it for a little bit, living in Buffalo, doing commercial stuff. So coming back was great. And probably the best thing I did was, since I've been doing this, is hop into a Zoom class where Mr. Clint was in there asking questions, because, he's my, like he talked, man, we're becoming super good friends. And, we're just talking last night about, having some family dinners and stuff. So, but for me personally, I love helping people. Like, I have a guy, you can go out on Zillow and read the review. His name's Lionel Everfield. He was an Army veteran in Denver. And 17 lenders told him that he couldn't buy a home. 17. And I looked at his stuff and I said, yeah, we can do this, man. It's going to be a little bit of work. We can do this. And so I put his story all over Facebook and everything because he was cool with it, But 17 people said no. And then, I went up to the closing. I drove up there and, him and his wife, she was crying at the table, because they never thought they could own a home. It is his benefit. He earned it. Mm-hmm. He deserved it. So that's that's my joy is just educating people. And like we talked earlier, even if it's saying no. Yeah. Like, no, man. Like, I don't care if company X will do your loan at 80% loan to value, that or DTI. That's dumb. Like, right. That's a bad decision. Like, so I just like helping people and giving them the right answers and just building relationships so that, the best thing you can do in our business is when somebody calls and they say, hey, man, my boy told me to call you because he said you hooked him up. I just closed a loan in Virginia that way. Hey, man, my buddy said that you'd help me. So that's just what it boils down for me. Like, Clint talked earlier. Yeah, I like making money. I do. Who doesn't? Mm-hmm. I like helping people. I like being successful. But at the end of the day, man, I like somebody to call me brother better. Yeah. And you I'm twirling my coin here. If your realtor or lender don't have one of these, then you're probably in the wrong office. Just throwing it out there.
Exactly.
Like, look, on that MRP class, man, the dude literally talked about coins, and I was like, Of course, I pull out my wallet, pull out my coin, and
like look at that. No script whatsoever. That's if you don't understand even what this is. Your realtor or your mortgage people is not who you need to be talking to, because you have to understand what this is. If you're not down with the coin game, that means you haven't really served. I don't care what you say.
Agree.
But again, I really appreciate both of you for your time. Again, this is the first of many conversations. For those, again, to find Alan, the amazing thing he's doing over at www.veteranlendinggroup.com. Also being able to find Clint's information over at 719veteranshometeam.com. Those links will also be shared where you're seeing this. But there's literally, this is, VA home loans and mortgages, what you need to know without the hook or trying to undersell you or upsell you on something, but giving you value. There are many more conversations. Again, once we get past this stage and you've made the connection, what are the red flags? What are the things to do? All those little steps are things that we can definitely discuss. But to Alan's point, there's so much resources out there, and what they're doing, you all saw, sign up for the boot camp. It's free, on demand or live. Connect, reach out, send a message, reach out to Clint, reach out to Alan, have a question, have a conversation. If nothing else you've taken out of this conversation today is to do due diligence. One is that the myths are bullcrap. You have a benefit, you qualify for something, there's no cap on it. Find out more about what you can do with that benefit. There's no time. So I don't care if you got out in Vietnam or you got out yesterday, you can use this benefit. And the reality is you can share that information with someone else. And now that you know that you can, begin the conversation. Reach out to someone that you feel comfortable with and find out, because guess what? You may just walk out in maybe 10 days or more or less with a house. Maybe 30 days from now, your whole life changes and you go from paying, to Alan's point and Clint's point, $2,500 or $3,500, whatever you may live in a rent, and you can literally save yourself about $500 to $1,000 by actually owning something that's an asset that will actually is something you own and can be profitable for you and your family and your situation. So the information is power, and I really appreciate both of you for one, being able to share your knowledge and take some time here for our veterans. So wherever you're seeing this, share this with someone. If you're in the process or you've considered it, it's never too late. I don't care if you are 80 years old or 20 years old. These are benefits we have and you can use them. The only thing that's a fair warning is if you reach out to Clint, obviously the gun show will get you.
My main focus.
No, but I love you, my brother. I appreciate both of you guys, seriously, for spending time and being able to do this. And I think, again, for our veterans, how we are. Like, if you kind of see, our banter, this is the first time me and Alan have spoken. Me and Clint, we've met in person. But this is what we are. As veterans, we just connect. We have this conversation. We kind of have a check, good to go. And when you're going down this path of real estate, of home ownership, that's what you want to have. If you can't have a conversation like this to a degree, you might want to reset your expectations, because you want to be able to say, okay, Alan, this is what I'm thinking, and give it to me straight. Clint, what do you think? Can we do something here? If you can't have that conversation, red flags.
So, and what we've done 100%, because I know I'm in the military, right? I want a lot of trust, and I want somebody that I know has got my six or your back, whatever you call it, that's just going to steer me absolutely correct, right? I want education and stuff, but like if I turn to Al, I know, like, I'm going to get that. We've simplified the process so much that you are literally 100% taken care of. I got two dudes right now that are deployed, and they bought a house last year, new builds, moving into it while they're deployed, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to wait a year. I'm like, dumb, don't do that. Well, my wife's got to move in. I said, no, she doesn't. We got her. Literally, I take the box truck. Remember the box truck with the wrap shit?
Yep.
We take that. I'm going to take it to their apartment. We're going to call the gym real fast, get 20 dudes over there and gals, and clear their apartment while he's deployed and handle all that stuff.
Wow.
Like, find that. Like there's those people in your community. There's no shit good-hearted people that care and will do everything to kind of help you succeed, to help you do things.
And my last shameless plug for you, Clint, specifically is if you are in the area where you do have the ability to work with Clint and go into business, I really just quickly want to be able to highlight again, if you can, not only do you have the ability to work with a great veteran and a great realtor on his space, but you also do, as we've kind of been poking fun here, among ourselves, access to the gym that he has. So I think that's also something that you don't see a lot of. So someone who actually does do business with you and does close on a house, they also do get a 1-year membership to your CrossFit box, correct?
Absolutely. So they get a 12-month membership, and that's our program and main focus anyways is for their PT test for the most part. So yeah, you get a free year, man. Our way of saying thank you back, and then more importantly, still being a part of your life, right? Because like there's so many transactions that just happen, and with lending on both sides where it happens and then they're done, and you're like, holy shit, man, where did Jill go? Like Jill was all over me for 45 days, and as soon as this happened, so we get them, man. Like for the community we have here is 150 deep at the gym, 130 are military, so we all have the same mindset. And so you get that here, and then we get you for health, and then you just have access to like everything. This fear of people. I literally can call Al, like I said, right now. DP, if you're closer, I know for sure these members, I can call you and say, hey man, do you got somebody that can do? They don't have to go outside of anywhere. So yeah, we certainly have that, man.
No, and I think that's respectful, and I really just wanted to give you a shout out for that, because I think that it speaks to, like, Alan, on your side, what you guys are doing. You don't have to give those classes. You don't have to have undermined classes. You don't have to do that. It could literally be, if you're in business with me, you get this, but you're offering that. Clint, on your side, it's again, I want to focus on, again, what we're giving to the community, what's happening. Clint is literally in his office at the gym. His wife literally, went out, got a light, came back. There's a class going on. This is not just talk. Like, we do this stuff, and I really love the rawness of it all, because again, the biggest thing to me is, one, Alan and Clint, both, thank you for your service, but not only as disabled veterans, you're amazing men, you are leaders in your space, you're not limited by your disabilities, right? Granted, we have some limited things that we can't do, but you've worked around it. You were able to find something, Alan. Clint, you were able to find something. You have a successful gym, and you also have a successful business, which again, for some out there are to say, again, me, Alan, and Clint, there's no difference between us. We're just like you all. We're veterans. We have some stuff that's broken. We have some issues. At face value, you think everything's copacetic, but it's not. But however, we still drive forward. And I think if you surround yourself with people that are moving and doing things, it's like anything else, right? It's your network that dictates, how you're moving in life. So associating yourself with people like Clint and Alan and so forth, hopefully motivates you. And hopefully this motivates someone out there to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get that damn license. Or, hey, I'm going to go ahead and reach out and try to get into that business or find that job or do something, because you can, right? So there's so many ways here, and I think both of you are inspirational and motivational for our community to be able to see not only just the product, but the people behind the product, what motivates you all, and hopefully now that you see what the standard is, you begin to look for that in others in your respective communities as well. Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is another episode of One-on-One Profiles in Audacity with Clint and Alan. We'll be back with more soon enough, but this is VA Home Loans and Mortgages, what you need to know to begin the process. We will be back for another one soon.